Hey guys, welcome back to another one of my videos. Today I'm going to be doing a quick review on the ND filters for the Mavic Mini and Mavic Mini 2. Specifically, not the Polar Pro ones that are very expensive and not even the freewall ones that are considered the typical budget brand. These are actually a company called f-stop Labs, and as you can see right here, they come in a magnetic case and there's a set of 6 of them. Hopefully they'll stay in focus there. The top 3 are regular ND filters, and then the bottom 3 are NDs as well as circular polarizer filters. So this video is going to be a real quick review, and it's going to be my top 3 reasons why you should really consider these ND filters for your Mavic Mini or Mavic Mini 2. So number 1 reason I would actually say is the cost. So the cost of these ones compared to something like a Polar Pro, like I said a second ago, is a lot more reasonable. For the Polar Pro, you're looking at a couple $100 for the full set of them. These ones actually only cost $70 Canadian, which is a little bit lower, probably around $50 American. I just want to show you a really quick example right now of footage I shot actually earlier today, and this is with and without an ND filter, and so you can see the difference in the shutter speed. If you don't have an ND filter, the quality still looks fine. The only downside is there's not the natural motion blur that you would get in really professional quality footage. So if we just take a really quick look at this example for a couple seconds, this first sample has the Mavic Mini up in the air with nothing in front of the lens. So this is just your standard Mini as you fly it. And you can see that the shutter speed is cranked really high to the point where there's no motion blur whatsoever, which it looks okay, but if you compare it to something like this, there's a big difference when it comes to the shutter speed. Now the shutter speed is set to the proper settings, and you can see a natural motion blur if you look at any objects that are moving fast. And secondly, I just want to talk a second about the features of these ND filters. So one of my main concerns when it came to these budget brand ND filters is some people were talking about the issues with the gimbal startup, like the calibration for their gimbal. So if you don't know already, if you turn on your drone, Mavic Mini, like this, when it first starts up, if I can get that in focus for a second, it actually does a really quick camera calibration and a gimbal calibration before it's fully steady, like so. And the problem with some gimbals, I'm going to shut that off. The problem with some filters for the gimbal is they're just heavy enough that they actually mess up a little bit that gimbal calibration to the point where it gives an error on your controller, which is no good whatsoever. So the nice thing about these are they're light enough to actually keep the drone under 250 grams. So that's great, you don't have to register your drone even if you have these ND filters on it. But even better, they don't mess up that calibration whatsoever. So all you have to do to install these, it's pretty easy. There's the vents on the back of the gimbal here. All you have to do is there's little metal hooks on the back of them. Just bring the camera down very carefully, it's very breakable. And then slide it down and then clip it into place like so. And there you go. Now it's on and you're good to go. And you can even actually put your gimbal cover on top to protect your gimbal, and you can leave the ND filter on there all the time if you'd like to, which is pretty awesome. And just really quickly, I wanted to talk about the quality of the ND filters as well, and the circular polarizers. I was a little afraid originally buying ND filters that are considered budget brands just because of the color cast that could happen with them. So if you didn't know already, whenever you're putting glass in front of a camera, even something tiny like the drone, you can actually get either a purple or a green hue color cast, and so it actually change the colors a little bit. You don't want that, right? You just want the ND filters to just darken the image just so you can adjust your shutter speed. So far, I can show you some test footage now, but so far I haven't noticed any color cast whatsoever, so that's great. And there's also no noticeable quality loss when it comes to your footage and photos either. For the most part, I've used the ND filters, just the regular ones in the top row, but there's also the 3 at the bottom, and they have the built-in circular polarizers as well. So the one nice thing is there's a little white line on these. Again, if I can show them, hopefully you can see that okay. There's a little bit of a white line there, and so that'll actually be a mark so that you can see exactly where you're rotating it. Really, the only downside with the circular polarizer filters for this drone, as well as really any circular polarizer filters for any drone, is that the idea is you want to get rid of the reflections and stuff like the water, and it actually makes the blues in the sky a little bit more saturated and a little nicer looking. And the problem with that is I actually have to fly the drone and land it completely just to adjust the circular polarizer just the smallest bit, and then take the drone back up in the sky, which is a little impractical. So I like them as a second set of backup ND filters, but I really wouldn't count on them too much when it comes to circular polarizers. And just to finish off this review really quick, the only thing that it's not even a complaint, but the only thing that I would question is I would really like a ND filter that's a little stronger than the 16 that they supply. They supply, as I mentioned, ND 2, 4, and 16 in this kit, but the problem is when I was shooting in direct sunlight like I was today, as you can see here, ND16 is just not quite strong enough. It'd be really nice to have an ND32 or ND64 as well, just to darken up a little bit, and that'd be a bit more practical for the photography side of things too, if you want to have, like, say, waterfalls that are blurred, that type of stuff. And that'd be a lot more practical for photography as well, because then you could do long exposure photos a little bit easier with your drone. Where the ND2, 4, and 16, they're awesome, but really they're meant for video. Just slow down that shutter speed to the proper amount, just so you can get the right settings to have the right amount of motion blur in your video. So to sum this all up, what am I thinking about these filters? In general, you really can't go wrong for $70 Canadian. Like, that's a really good deal, especially when you get 6 of them, 3 regular NDs as well as 3 circular polarizers. Again, the only downside I can possibly see is that I wish that they were a little bit stronger NDs, just so I can have the shutter speed a little bit slower on those really bright sunny days. Realistically, if you're wanting to get some really nice looking footage with your drone, you should be shooting at either golden hour or blue hour anyways, so it's not a big deal. But if you get stuck where you have to be flying your drone midday, direct sunlight, super bright situation, then it would be better to have a little bit of a darker ND filter. Well, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching this really quick review on the filters. If you like this content, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video as well. It really makes a big difference for our channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.